Wait for it. Hi. Hi. Hello.
Don't make me edit this out. All right, so good morning. We're going to do a little bit of science today before we wrap up. Again, I have the same 6 kids here because they just had to be here. Don't interrupt, Juliana.
Hi.
You too, Cassidy. Now, last time we met, we talked about volcanoes. We talked about myths and legends. So put up your hand. What were some of the early beliefs about volcanoes? What did most ancient societies believe caused these things to happen? Yes?
That there was winds inside.
Even before that.
Gods.
Gods, thank you. Gods or goddesses. The Hawaiians actually had a specific goddess, I should say, specifically dedicated to volcanoes. Anyone remember her name out of curiosity? We're going to review this a lot, so if you don't, you're going to have to. Yes?
Lava hair?
No.
Well, she had lava hair.
She did have lava hair. That is correct. That's the belief. Her name is Pele, the goddess of fire, the goddess of volcanoes. When we get to the ancient Greeks, though, they have a different belief. And what do the ancient Greeks believe caused earthquakes and volcanoes to happen? Zach already told us. So, Zach?
Winds inside the earth.
Great winds inside the earth. Now, they were wrong about the great winds, but what were they right about? Mateo?
There's something deep inside.
There's something inside the earth. Okay, the Romans, especially Ovid, believed that something else caused earthquakes and volcanoes to happen. It wasn't inside the earth that he believed. What did he think happened that caused earthquakes and volcanoes? Sage?
That the sun got really close.
The sun got too close to the earth, and this earth trembled from the great heat. Now, what was he right about, even though technically it has nothing to do with the sun? Juliana?
It has to do with heat.
Energy and heat. And lastly, Rene Descartes believed that there was something inside our earth. What did he believe was inside our earth? Evan?
The core.
A glowing core, exactly. In fact, volcanoes are even so much in legend that there was a really ancient city that was believed to have been sunk to the bottom of the ocean because of a volcano. Now, what city was that? Yes.
Atlantic.
Now, what actually happened to Atlantis? It didn't sink to the bottom of the ocean. Evan?
A volcano blew it up.
A volcano blew it up. In fact, that's what this is right here. So, remember what the name of this island is? It's not called Atlantis. It actually has a name, and it's in Greece today. Juliana?
I was going to say it's in Greece.
It is in Greece, thank you. And it's the island of Santorini. And what's happening right at the center of the island of Santorini today in Greece? Evan?
The volcanoes.
A new volcano is growing where the old one once was. Now today, we're not looking at myths and legends today. We're going to look at some real volcanoes. Now, we're going to be talking, again, follow along, fill out the note-taking guide as you go at home, and there are going to be 3 videos that you can watch. I've linked them all to the Google Classrooms, so make sure you check out the videos at the end. My kids are going to watch them today at the end when we get there. Now, first of all, what is a volcano? Well, it's super, super straightforward. It's a hole in the Earth's crust where lava, ash, or gas will come out. So every now and then, there will be a hole that opens up in our crust. And 3 different things can come out. Lava. It's called magma when it's in the earth. It's a lava when it comes out of the earth because it starts to cool immediately. Ash or gas, one of these 3 things is going to come out of these volcanoes. So what is it? It's a hole in the earth's crust. That's it. And there is a name for scientists who study these volcanoes, and wow, it's a volcanologist, not a very complicated name. They're geologists essentially, but they decide to focus mainly on studying volcanoes. There's also a group known as lava junkies. These may not actually be scientists, but they're fascinated with volcanoes. They love to do videos on volcanoes, and they will get very, very close to volcanoes. Just like with tornado hunters. There are actual meteorologists who study tornadoes, and there's people who just love to track tornadoes and follow them. Now, there are 3 types of volcanoes. They're not all the same. So we're going to talk about those 3 types of volcanoes today. Some are dangerous, some are not. Some are very large, some are not. It goes by a few different things. Now, the first type of volcano is what we call an ash and cinder cone. Now, the ash and cinder cones are the smallest of all volcanoes. Whoops. Oh, still there. They have sloping sides. So if we can see in the background here, do you guys see this one here? This is a very famous ash and cinder cone, and we're going to watch a video at the end of this presentation on it, and it's called Paracutin. It's in Mexico, and it is a volcano that really almost sprang up overnight. It was in a field in a farmer's backyard. They noticed a crack in the Earth's crust. Within a few days, it had already popped out, and within about a week to 2 weeks, it was almost fully at the size that it is today. So, can you guys see that? It kind of has sloping sides on it, not jaggedy, not big mountain looking. It's very smaller and not a very big top. They have a large bowl-shaped crater. It's hard to see in this photo, but you'll see it better on the next one. There's sort of a big bowl shape at the top. And they can erupt extremely violently. So even though these are small, they are not to be messed around with. They can erupt violently. The town of Paracutin was essentially destroyed, most of it, because of this volcano that erupted there. And it's made of layers of ash and cinder. So as the ash and cinder come out, they form layers on top of the volcano. So we're going to watch that video at the end of a very famous ash and cinder cone called Paracutin. The next type is called a shield volcano. Now, shield volcanoes are quite a bit different. They do have gentle slopes, as you can see in the photo of Mauna Loa there. They are always active, which means these volcanoes don't stop erupting. They are going to erupt lava all the time. And they don't really erupt ash and cinder, it's almost exclusively lava. And these volcanoes are made of layers of lava. So as they erupt them, the lava cools and they build up and build up and build up. So for example, most of the Hawaiian Islands, many of the island nations around the world are all sitting on active shield volcanoes. And that's why they're sort of there. And we're going to watch a video of an eruption of some very slow moving lava. It moves so slow that people are actually walking right beside it. Not smart, still it will burn you severely if you touch it, but they're very slow moving volcanoes, but they're always, always active. Now the type that you guys probably think about when you envision a volcano in your head is the last type. And these are called composite volcanoes or stratocones. These volcanoes are the most violent. These are the ones that look like mountains. They're massive. They're made of layers of ash, cinder, and lava, so they erupt everything. Large amounts of ash, tons of cinder, and then lava everywhere. And they erupt violently when they get plugged. Because these are mountains, they often have a tendency to get plugged up. We're going to be looking at the most famous of all of these ones called Mount St. Helens, which is not far from Canada. It's very close to British Columbia. It's in Washington State. And it had a massive eruption, I believe, in 1982, where it blew its top. So the entire mountain blew itself apart. Thankfully, because it was in a very isolated location, I'm fairly certain there were only, I think, 82 deaths from it. But put it this way, the ash was so great that you could see it from Winnipeg. That's how far it traveled. It was an incredibly massive eruption. Iceland has a number of these as well. Iceland had a huge chain of volcanic eruptions about 10 years ago, and you could see it as far as Canada. That's how far the winds would take these things. Now, this is Mount St. Helens. In the video you'll actually see a timeline of how it looks. They did sort of an animation of what the entire thing would have looked like. So if you see the compare of them here, so this is your cinder cone. Small, big, bowl-shaped crater, sloping sides. Composite, very tall volcano. They're the tallest. They're not the biggest, though. Shield are always the biggest because they take up the most space. They're islands. Most of them are underwater. But you have these large, tall volcanoes, these composite cones. And very small crater at the top. And because of that small crater, they can get plugged. The Hawaiian volcanoes are huge. They're very large, called shield. There is no crater. There is no one spot where the lava comes up. It breaks out into smaller fissures or smaller parts. And you're going to see that again today on the video we watch. So today, check out those 3 videos. They're going to show you in depth the shield volcano, the composite volcano, and the ash and cinder cone. Otherwise, for types of volcanoes, these are the 3 main types, and we'll be studying these more as we go on. So thanks for tuning in today. Don't forget to like or subscribe to the video if you already haven't. And remember to do the attached note-taking guide that comes with it, because you will be handing that in for marks at the end. We'll talk to you soon. Have fun at home.
Bye.
Because you will be handing that in for marks at the end. We'll talk to you soon. Have fun at home.
Bye.